locker room. It's like 11:20. I look terrible. But I didn't even have time to film an intro right now because I'm about to go for a presentation. I just came back from the OR doing a case. I'll talk about it later. Gotta get ready for my presentation. Bye. I'm about to present. Trying to get half a calorie in first. Historically, Black children have had significantly higher rates of firearm mortality overall, and increased firearm mortality rates have correlated with higher poverty levels. So that plays into the social determinants of health and these firearm deaths in pediatrics. Okay, I'm done my presentation. I'm about to change back into my scrubs and go back into the OR because the surgery I was doing in the morning that I'll tell y'all about later is still going. So I'll see y'all later. It is 7 p.m. and there is a noise in this room, and I can't believe this is like the first time I'm getting a chance to sit down and talk to y'all. So today has probably been the most hectic day of my entire surgery rotation, and it's my last 24-hour call shift. So for this rotation we do 6 24-hour call shifts. Well, it's usually more like 25 hours because we have to wait for sign out when we tell the incoming team about what happened overnight. But yeah, on call, this is our pager. So whenever a trauma comes in, we're going to go downstairs to the emergency department and help evaluate that trauma patient. So that's basically why we're here overnight. There's a day team who does it. That's called the Matori team. I was on that. It was my first part of my surgery rotation, but now I'm just on call. And honestly, the trauma calls aren't as bad as you would think they would be. Sometimes they are busy nights, but yeah, you just gotta hope for the best. Hope nothing too crazy comes in and nothing too much comes in. But I actually like the trauma calls. It's a good rush of energy, and also being able to, it sounds cliche, but being able to help people probably on the worst day of their lives. But yeah, I am 13 hours into my 24-hour shift. So I'm basically already halfway done. I just have to work through the night. But yeah, let's talk about what I've been doing all day. I feel like I've just gotten like little clips here and there, but I haven't like actually told y'all what was going on. So this morning we had a surgery called a parotidectomy. So basically this patient has a tumor, or had a tumor in his parotid gland, which secretes saliva. It's like in your cheek area. And he had a tumor there. The tumor is called a pleomorphic adenoma. So the surgery was basically to remove the tumor by removing half of the parotid gland. And it was honestly a really cool procedure. I didn't get to watch the whole thing because I had to leave in the middle because I had my presentation, which is another reason my day was so busy. I literally got 2 hours of sleep last night. I'm just running on vibes and Celsius. Hey y'all, this is me editing. As I listen to myself talk, I find it very sad how to survive in this healthcare field, we need to take caffeine. I'm talking about doing 24-hour shifts. I feel it's unrealistic to think we'd be able to do that naturally. That's not how our bodies are made. And you need to have caffeine to be able to survive oftentimes, to be able to be sharp and take care of patients. Am I saying that's a good thing? I'm not. I think there are things in the system that can be changed, but we also have to think about all the negative effects of caffeine, how it makes us jittery. If you're a surgeon, you might not want to have shaky hands, and how like it may not always be a solution to the problem because you can take caffeine in, but it's just blocking your adenosine receptors, the receptors that tell you that you're tired. You're just blocking them temporarily, but you're going to end up crashing once those receptors wear off. And I'm glad that doctors are starting to think about this. And I've noticed that since I started using Magic Mind, that I've been more productive. And if you're wondering what Magic Mind is, here is the bottle of it. These are mental performance shots, productivity shots. I've been talking about Magic Mind since I was an M1. I still use it and I still commend it because I know the impact that it's had in my own personal life. You know, I'm in a phase right now where I'm trying to honor my rotations, trying to write my personal statement for residency, preparing for step 2. And I know that if I'm not efficient, I'm not going to be able to achieve my goals. But there are only so many hours in a day. So I find myself often wanting to use caffeine, but I end up being more tired in return. I'm not able to go to sleep when I want to. I go in bed, I'm waiting for forever before I can actually fall asleep, and I'm not actually getting enough hours of sleep. But I noticed that when I use Magic Mind, it's starting to take away that jitteriness, and I'm able to be not just awake, but also mentally clear. Not jittery, but at peace as I work. I've been using this for years. Like you can see, the box is literally almost empty. I have been using these. I can see the difference that it makes in my productivity. Magic Mind is not a caffeine replacement. It's an enhancer. It helps enhance the effects of caffeine and extend the effects of caffeine. But I find that I often take it alone as well. I really like the formulation of it. It has a good matcha taste, passion fruit. I like the flavor overall. And I like to try and take it on its own sometimes, especially if it's the afternoon and I'm like, dang, I can't have caffeine right now because it's going to throw off my sleep schedule. It does have 55 milligrams of caffeine, so it's not too heavy. So I really do commend Magic Mind and the doctors who formulated it. There are over 200 ingredients that are proven to reduce stress by different scientific articles, so I like that it's evidence-based, and I've noticed it had a real impact on my life. So if you want to try it out, I do suggest using the link in the description, and you can use the code ORIAFETOL20 to get 48% off a subscription for the first 10 days, or to get 20% off a one-time purchase. So yeah, be sure to check it out. But yeah, back to the prostatectomy. It was really interesting because such a big portion of the procedure is trying to preserve the facial nerve, and that's the nerve that controls your facial expressions and facial movements, and it has a little bit of a role in taste as well. Or is it tongue sensation? I think it's taste. I have to double check on that. But it controls your facial expressions. I know that for sure. So they had these nerve monitors. So if you got too close to a nerve and you might damage it, the monitor would go off. And it was my first time seeing something like that. So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I really liked how delicate the procedure was, even though I didn't get to see all of it. Like, I remember when I left, I was like, wow, I wish I could have watched the rest of it. But it did run for like 6 hours though. Like, we started at 7:30. There was another portion of the procedure that plastics had to do in the beginning. So we started at 7:30. I had to leave to get ready for my presentation around 11:15, and I came back at like 3:30, and the procedure was still going on and didn't finish until around 4 or so. Yeah, it was a full day in the OR, but not all of it was the prostatectomy itself. He also had to remove a lipoma that plastics did, which was also more interesting than I thought it would be. Anyway, enough of the surgery. Now let's talk about my presentation. So the presentation I did today was called my La Fall presentation. So it's a formal presentation that here at Howard, third-year medical students on their surgery rotation have to give. And basically you discuss a case that you saw while on your surgery rotation and give a teaching point about something related to the case. So for me, I chose a trauma case, and the way you have to approach the trauma cases is a bit different because we have the primary survey, secondary survey, and everything. The primary survey is basically airway, breathing, circulation, disability, exposure, the ABCDEs, and that's kind of like a ranking in priority for what you need to make sure is okay in a trauma patient. I guess that's one way to explain it. And the secondary survey is assessing the rest of the systems and the rest of the body to see if there's any sort of issue with that. So yeah, my patient that I discussed was a 16-year-old who got gunshot wounds to his head, and he had a bunch of eye issues that came with that. So I discussed pediatric trauma and the social determinants of health regarding that, specifically since the COVID-19 pandemic. So yeah, it was really interesting to explore. It was stressful to prepare, but I actually do feel accomplished. So, yay, I'm glad that presentation's over. Now I can get back to focusing on studying. But yeah, that's basically been my day. So right now, I got like a little bit of pretending to sleep in just so that I have a bit more energy for when the traumas come. But now all I really do until 6:30 a.m. is wait for the pager to go off. And if the pager goes off, I go see the patient. So I'll keep y'all updated throughout the night. Good morning, y'all. It is about 3 a.m. the following day, and can I cannot believe we have not had any trauma activations so far tonight. Usually if we're going to have trauma activations, they're gonna start coming in around 10 p.m. and then it usually just runs back to back to back until like 2 a.m. or so, 2, 3 a.m., maybe 4. So I feel like if we haven't had one by now, chances are we won't have one based off the patterns I've observed. But you know what's funny is I actually had a gut feeling there weren't going to be any pages. Because I literally I prayed this morning, I prayed last night that there weren't going to be too many because A, I want the people of DC to be safe, obviously, but B, I've been running on 2 hours of sleep all day yesterday. So I was able to take a quick nap for a couple hours. My classmates stayed awake. When you're on these trauma call shifts, it's important that not all of you fall asleep at once because what if y'all are all deep sleepers? Who's gonna hear the pager? And if y'all don't hear the pager, that's actually a big issue because one thing about trauma call is that's probably when I most feel like I'm truly part of the team. And I'm not saying that I don't feel like I'm part of the team on other services or when I'm doing other activities because I do, but I feel it's more like, okay, we round, we check out the patient, see how they're doing, we help people out with things, we help move things along. But I feel like on trauma call, you are truly integral to the process. Like they have specific jobs that are designated for med students to do. So if we're not there, it truly hinders the flow of the trauma activation. So yeah, it's not that we're not part of the team otherwise. I'm just trying to say for example, if med students didn't pre-round, the main team is still gonna round, but for the trauma call, your job is actually very essential, especially given the stakes of the scenario sometimes. But I wanted to take out a little time to show y'all what I bring to my 24-hour call shifts. I just carry this little clear baggy thingy just with some toiletries and stuff. So I'll show you what's in here. I'm not taking anything out because you can see it through. So here in the top I have edge control and edge control brush, deodorant. This is actually eyebrow gel right here. I use that a lot. Face moisturizer, face wash, mouthwash, toothbrush and toothpaste. And that's actually it in here. I don't necessarily use all of these. Main things you'll catch me using is the mouthwash and just stuff to brush my teeth mostly. Sometimes I do use the edge control and also the eyebrow gel, surprisingly, because my eyebrows be getting crazy if y'all haven't noticed already. Y'all, it's 7 a.m. and my shift is done. I was right. Nobody came in. We had no traumas. So this is officially the most boring vlog ever. But I mean, this has never happened before. Last week we had 4 traumas. The following week we had 3 traumas. It's never been 0. So I feel like I chose the wrong day to make this vlog. But I hope y'all enjoyed regardless.